I was the family maid while my siblings enjoyed life, because I was the least intelligent. Now I'm the most successful, and they want me to forget the past and help them. The girl who wasn't smart enough. I learned early that in our house in Columbus, Ohio, love was ranked. My siblings, Marcus and Eliza, sat at the top. I stayed at the bottom, scrubbing floors with my report cards folded in my pocket like apologies. They called me the least intelligent. Not cruelly, they'd say. Just honestly. While Marcus went to football camps and Eliza had piano lessons, I woke up at 5 a.m. to iron uniforms, pack lunches, and clean up last night's laughter. I wasn't allowed to complain. This is how you contribute, my mother would say, handing me a mop instead of encouragement. At dinner, they discussed dreams. I served plates. At family gatherings, they praised achievements. I washed dishes. The night I overheard my father say, "At least Anastasia is useful," something inside me cracked quietly. Not loudly enough for anyone to notice. But cracks are dangerous. They're where light and fury eventually get in. Before I continue, please subscribe to my channel to see more interesting stories. Thank you. Useful is another word for invisible. By 16, I ran the house better than my parents ever did. Still, when my guidance counselor suggested college, my mother laughed. Community college, maybe. She's not built for more. That sentence followed me like a curse. In Cleveland, when Marcus got arrested for drunk driving, I bailed him out, using money I'd saved from cleaning neighbors' homes. He never said thank you. He said, "You're good at this stuff." When Eliza dropped out of NYU and came home crying, I gave up my bedroom so she could heal. I slept in the laundry room. I wasn't stupid. I was convenient. At night, while folding clothes, I listened to audiobooks on my phone: finance, psychology, business. Knowledge became my rebellion. Quiet. Patient. They never noticed. They never look at furniture. The escape, no one applauded. I left home at 21 with a single suitcase and a bus ticket to Chicago. No farewell dinner.
No blessings.
My mother hugged me and whispered, "Don't fail. We can't afford embarrassment." In Chicago, I worked 3 jobs: hotel housekeeping by day, diner shifts by night, online freelancing at dawn. I slept 4 hours a night and cried in bathroom stalls. Then one client noticed me. Then another. By 25, I moved to Austin, Texas, launching a logistics consulting firm from my laptop. I failed twice. Quietly. Learned faster. Success didn't arrive with fireworks. It crept in, just like I always had, when silence turns into power. The first time my company hit 7 figures, I was alone in my apartment, eating noodles.
No applause. No witnesses.
In New York, I signed contracts that changed lives. In San Francisco, I spoke at conferences where people took notes when I talked. Meanwhile, back home, my family struggled. Marcus bounced between jobs. Eliza's marriage collapsed. Then the calls started.
Soft.
Careful. Anastasia, you've always been so responsible. I smiled for the first time in years. They finally saw me. But not as family. As a solution. The invitation that changed everything. They invited me to a family reunion in Atlanta, Georgia. My mother sounded sweet, nostalgic. "We're so proud of you," she said, words I'd waited my whole life to hear. At the dinner table, they laughed nervously, complimented my dress, asked about my little business. Then Marcus leaned forward. "So, we were thinking, family helps family, right?" That was the moment I realized. They didn't want forgiveness. They wanted access. And I finally understood my role wasn't to escape the story. It was to finish it. Smiles sharper than knives. They didn't ask for money right away. That would have been too honest. Instead, they wrapped their desperation in affection. In Atlanta, my mother cooked my favorite meal for the first time in my life. She watched me eat like I might disappear if she blinked. Eliza kept touching my arm, laughing too loudly. Marcus offered to pour my wine, hands trembling. "You've changed," Eliza said. "You're confident." I smiled. The kind of smile you give people who once starved you and now want dessert. They spoke about starting fresh, about how family misunderstandings happen, about how we were all young once.
No apologies. No accountability.
Just revisionist history served warm. That night in my hotel room, overlooking the glowing city, I made a list. Not of revenge, but of truth. If they wanted help, I'd give it. On my terms. The business proposal. Marcus called me 2 days later. Straight to the point this time. He wanted to start a logistics company in Detroit. Needed capital, connections, guidance. You're basically doing this already, he said. We can build it together, like siblings. I nearly laughed. Instead, I said, send me your business plan. There was a long pause. Then silence. What he sent me was thin, careless, entitled. It reminded me of the way they treated me growing up, assuming I'd fill in the gaps. I replied with revisions, so precise they hurt. Financial projections, risk assessments, legal structures. Marcus was stunned. So, you'll fund it? I'll mentor you, I said. That word, mentor, shifted the power in the room he wasn't in. He agreed too quickly. Desperation makes people sloppy. Contracts don't care about blood. In New York, my lawyers drafted airtight agreements. Marcus skimmed them. Of course he did. He always skimmed my life too. The deal was simple. I'd invest knowledge, not cash. My firm would consult. Performance-based equity. Total transparency. If he failed, I walked away clean. If he succeeded, control stayed with me. Eliza called next. She wanted help launching a lifestyle brand in Los Angeles. Said she'd always believed in me. I remembered the nights she stepped over me while I slept on the laundry floor. I believe in systems, I replied. Not feelings. She signed too. My mother just wanted stability, retirement, medical coverage.
Peace.
I set up a trust. With conditions. Love without responsibility is just nostalgia. Watching them repeat themselves. Success tests character faster than failure ever does. Within months, Marcus missed deadlines. Blamed staff. Ignored data. He started saying my company in meetings, forgetting whose mind built it. Eliza spent more time on photo shoots than production. She burned money chasing aesthetics instead of infrastructure. I warned them. Once. Then I stopped. In Seattle, while closing a major deal, I watched their numbers crumble on my dashboard.
No anger. No joy.
Just clarity. They weren't unlucky. They were unchanged. And I was done carrying what they refused to learn. The first collapse. Marcus's company folded quietly. Vendors pulled out. Clients left. The contracts triggered exactly as written. He called me at midnight.
Crying.
You set me up. No, I said softly. I set you up to succeed. You chose not to. Eliza's brand followed. The trust froze when conditions weren't met. My mother panicked. That's when the family meeting was called. Emergency.
Urgent.
They wanted grace. Forgiveness. Another chance. They still didn't know this wasn't about money anymore. It was about reckoning. The family meeting. We met in Birmingham, Alabama, at my mother's modest rented house, the same kind of place she once said I'd end up in permanently. They sat in a half circle, like I was a judge they hadn't prepared for. Marcus looked hollow. Eliza's mascara had run before I even arrived. My mother clutched her Bible like it could rewrite history. You're punishing us, she said.
No, irraplia.
I stopped rescuing you. Marcus slammed the table. You think you're better than us now? I didn't raise my voice. I think I was always capable. You just never noticed. Silence fell heavy. Then my mother said the sentence that sealed everything. You should help because you owe us. We raised you. I stood up slowly. I raised myself, I said. And for the first time, they had no response. Memory is a witness. That night, I couldn't sleep. The house creaked with ghosts. I remembered Ohio winters, my fingers raw from washing dishes while Eliza practiced piano badly. Remembered Marcus calling me slow when I asked questions. Remembered report cards hidden because good grades disrupted their narrative. They didn't just ignore my intelligence. They suppressed it. In Boston, weeks later, I spoke on a panel about resilience. The audience applauded. Cameras flashed. I wondered what would have happened if even one person in my family had clapped for me back then. But pain doesn't disappear. It sharpens. And now it was time to use it with precision. The offer they didn't expect. I called them together again, this time in Dallas, Texas. Neutral ground. Professional setting. I'll help, I said. Relief flooded their faces too fast. Too easy. But not how you think. I laid out my proposal. Full financial literacy training.
Therapy.
Accountability audits. No cash handouts.
No shortcuts.
Eliza scoffed. So, you want to teach us how to be adults? Yes, I said. The way no one taught me. Marcus refused. We don't need fixing. I nodded. Then this ends here. My mother cried. For herself, not for me. They still thought the pain was mine alone. They were wrong. When pride becomes hunger. 6 months passed. Marcus's pride starved him faster than poverty ever could. He lost his apartment in Toledo. Eliza's credit cards maxed out in Santa Monica. Then the calls came again. Smaller voices. Broken tones. I'll do the program, Marcus said. I'll try, Eliza whispered. I agreed. Slowly.
Carefully.
Not to save them, but to change the ending. Power wears quiet shoes. They struggled. Failed tests. Missed sessions. Faced uncomfortable truths. Marcus cried in therapy when he admitted he'd always needed someone beneath him to feel tall. Eliza admitted she feared being ordinary more than being poor. I watched without gloating, without softness. In Denver, signing another major deal, I realized something. I no longer needed revenge. I needed resolution. And the most painful payment was still ahead, not for them, but for the story we'd all believed. The house I never had. I bought a house in Nashville, Tennessee. Not because I needed it, but because I wanted to see how it felt to choose comfort without permission. Standing in the empty living room, sunlight spilling across hardwood floors, I remembered being told I didn't deserve space, that I should be grateful for corners and leftovers. I invited my family over. Eliza ran her fingers along the walls like the house might reject her. Marcus avoided eye contact. My mother asked what the mortgage was, as if debt made success easier to swallow. This is yours, she asked. Yes, I said.
No applause.
Just envy dressed as curiosity. That night, I slept in peace I'd earned twice over. The relapse. Growth isn't linear. Neither is entitlement. Marcus skipped sessions. Eliza asked for just a small loan. My mother hinted that relatives were whispering about how I'd abandoned my family. In St. Louis, between meetings, I realized something painful. They were behaving better, but still thinking the same. They wanted transformation without discomfort, redemption without responsibility. I said no again. And again, I was painted as the villain. The letter I never sent. On a flight to Phoenix, turbulence shook the cabin, and something inside me loosened. I wrote a letter on my phone.
Not to them.
To the girl I used to be. I apologized for staying silent so long. For mistaking endurance for love. For cleaning messes I didn't make. By the time we landed, I was crying openly. A stranger handed me tissues. That stranger showed me more kindness than my family ever had. I didn't send the letter. I lived it. The public moment. My company sponsored a leadership summit in Washington, D.C. My name was everywhere. Interviews. Panels. Features. A journalist asked, "Who inspired you?" I paused. Myself, I said. The clip went viral. My family saw it. Called it arrogant. Said I'd forgotten where I came from. They were right about one thing. I had forgotten. On purpose. The choice. I gathered them one final time. This time in Savannah, Georgia. I'm stepping back, I said. From mentoring. From managing. From carrying. Panic spread across their faces. You're cutting us off, my mother asked. No, I said calmly. I'm giving you what you gave me.
Silence.
Independence. I stood, lighter than I'd ever been. The storm wasn't over, but the eye of it was finally me. When the apology finally came, the apology arrived too late to change anything, but just in time to reveal the truth. My mother called me from Dayton, Ohio, her voice thin and careful.
We were wrong, she said. About you.
About everything. I closed my eyes. I'd imagined those words for years. Thought they would heal something. They didn't. She continued, we didn't think you'd become this. That word again. This. Not someone. Not my daughter. A result. I forgive you, I said quietly. And I meant it. Forgiveness isn't permission, it's release. But forgiveness doesn't reopen doors. It only closes old wounds. The offer that shocked them. I invited my family to Charleston, South Carolina, one last time. They arrived nervous, hopeful, afraid. I presented documents across the table. Not contracts. Not money. Scholarships. Housing referrals. Job placement resources. I won't fund your lives, I said. But I'll remove excuses. Marcus stared at the papers. So, no cash. No control, I replied. Eliza began to cry. Not from gratitude, but from realization. This wasn't rescue. This was equality. They would rise or fall on their own merit, just like I had. The public truth. Months later, I released a memoir excerpt during a keynote in Los Angeles. I didn't name names. I told the truth anyway. About being labeled unintelligent. About unpaid labor disguised as duty. About brilliance buried under expectation. The room went silent, then erupted. The story went viral. My family saw themselves between the lines. The world did too. For the first time, I wasn't invisible, and they couldn't rewrite me. Watching them walk alone. Marcus took a warehouse job in Indianapolis. Eliza enrolled in night classes in Pasadena. My mother downsized willingly. No calls asking for shortcuts.
No manipulation.
Just effort. It wasn't redemption. It was growth. And it wasn't mine to manage. The storm they never saw coming. Standing on a stage in New York City, accepting an award for social impact, I finally understood the irony. They called me the least intelligent, so they made me observe, endure, learn quietly. And in doing so, they forged the very mind that outgrew them. I didn't evict them from success. I simply stopped carrying them into it. And that was the most expensive lesson they ever paid for. Because the girl they used as a maid became the woman who rewrote the rules and walked away with peace. Thank you for listening to my story. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my videos. Thank you.